to this conversation presented by White House Custom Color. I'm Jed Toffer. White House Custom Color is a premier professional photography and press printing lab serving photographers around the globe. Be sure to check us out at whcc.com. So, I don't know who you are. I've heard your name, and I obviously saw you on the list here at Push 2018 in Greencastle, Indiana.
Beautiful Greencastle, Indiana.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It is nice. But I don't know who you are. I'll tell you this. You gave your program this morning, and I was outside the doors in the White House lounge there, and I heard a couple of people come out to get a water, or someone got a pen or something, and they were talking to each other, and one of them said, "He is on point." We've got so much information, and he is killing it.
Good, yeah. So hopefully it was insightful for all the attendees.
Well, I think it sounded, the early buzz indicates that people were really happy with what you were talking about. So who is Sean Brown, and what does he do?
Yes, so I am a high school senior photographer based out of Portland, Oregon, and really what I believe in is creating senior portraits that are unique to the senior and who really tell who they are as individuals and that cater to who they are as people, because I'm huge on personalities. So I started my photography journey about 6 years ago now, and at the time I was a young one. I was almost a freshman, sophomore in college, and so really I started with just people.
So you're like 25 or 24?
23, yeah. It's
You're
24 in a couple months.
20, you're not even 24.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
So young.
No, I'm jealous.
And
you're 20 years my younger.
But that's it. It's I think there's something to be said for having experience and that sort of thing too. So so I started out about 6 years ago with high school seniors, and it was not the track I ever intended to take.
Is that right?
It was, yeah. So I I first started out, it was a friend, and they said, "Oh, hey, you have a camera. Will you take my senior portraits?" And of course I'd done like landscape and travel stuff, and I said, sure, because portraits and landscape photography are totally the same.
Yeah, they're a lot alike.
So, so that's launched kind of my senior journey. And I'd previously worked for a photography studio, basically just running the photo booth stuff. And I loved the people interaction, and portraits was really a way that I could put that people aspect to it. So over time, I said, hey, this is kind of fun. And so we started I started kind of building that brand and tweaking it. And finally I realized about a year or two in that this can be a living. This can be what you do. And so from there, I focused in on marketing and branding. And so that's something that's been really huge to me. And I've had photographers as mentors that one is actually my friend Jeff Cable, who said that there are a lot of great photographers that are bad business people, and a lot of bad business people that are great photographers. And as long as you're a good business person, you're going to make it. And that kind of really stuck with me. He's and still has. And so
you're in Portland, Oregon, correct?
Portland, Oregon. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. And so that's something that stuck with me. And so, 6 years later, here I am, and it's really been a huge focus on marketing and branding. So that's something that I really have pushed in my senior business and have made a core pillar to how I've built my business, kind of the success that I've had within my business and the industry as well.
What are you doing that's different?
So the biggest thing is that I am huge on video marketing.
You are?
I am, yes. So I do both senior films as well as video marketing in terms of promotional branding films and that sort of thing for my business. And that's something that I think is key, because especially as businesses move towards becoming more personal brands, I think that video becomes a huge crucial element, because you can't really hide behind video. You can hide behind photo, you can hide behind other mediums to an extent, writing on Facebook and all that stuff, but video I think really exposes who you are as a person. And I think that you can really capitalize on.
Well, that sounds scary.
It sounds scary, but it
I don't
also
want to
can
be exposed.
But at the same time, I think that there are a lot of really good aspects to it, because if you're genuine and you can relate to your audience and your clients before you've even met them, that becomes huge to your business and really allows you to establish those client connections prior to even meeting them or even maybe booking them.
So what does it look like? I mean, how does that show up?
Yeah. So for me in video, the main thing is that this can be done through any medium. So Instagram and Facebook, obviously Instagram Live, Facebook Live, Instagram and Snapchat Stories. This is really any medium, even Twitter videos if you want to put those out. Any medium that you can communicate through video is a great platform. And I think that one of the big things that I do in my marketing that has been really successful is being able to leverage each platform in the way that they're intended to be used in terms of producing content that works natively on those platforms.
It's like, so explain that a little bit more so that people can understand, like myself.
So each platform, so you have their main four. So it's Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat.
Sure.
I said Instagram, right? Hopefully.
Yes.
Yeah. And all of those are unique in their own ways. So Facebook started as primarily really just a platform to share thoughts, and has since evolved to photos and video content as well. And then Instagram started as just a photo sharing platform. Twitter as kind of more of a conversational share your thoughts platform. And then Snapchat as a platform to share organic, raw, natural, kind of unfiltered content. So
that's going to go away.
Exactly. And so the big thing is figuring out, okay, who is my audience on each of these platforms, and how can I write and communicate in the way that the platform was intended? So Twitter, if you're trying to post long narratives like you might on Facebook that connects on an emotional level, well, seniors and whoever's on Twitter are using that in a very different way than they're maybe consuming Instagram content.
Yeah, like how do I find out that? How do I find out?
You come to Push. So,
but if I want to know who my audience is on Instagram, or who the audience is on Instagram, what do I do? Do I Google it?
Google it and really just, I think, kind of being intuitive to who's following you.
Yeah, watch.
Get attention. To know your audience.
Yeah.
Engage with your audience. So if you have questions, like, post on Instagram stories and kind of see what reactions you get. Who is resonating with the content that you're putting out? And I think that's you can even go through your follower list. Look at, our photographers follow me, our prospective clients following me, and really figure out what...
Tailor your content for that.
Exactly.
Regarding, like specs of the video, like what are you filming with? So
the great thing about video is literally you can shoot with anything you have. Cameras, iPhones, all of that stuff. So for video, if I'm on Instagram stories, I'm just filming right with my camera on my phone.
Through Instagram.
Right. But if I want to produce more polished content, every photographer has a DSLR or a camera that is capable of shooting HD footage video.
Yeah, for the most part.
In 2018, everybody should.
Right.
And so really what it is learning through YouTube tutorials, video products, that sort of thing that you can purchase as educational courses, attending video workshops, that sort of thing, if you want to go really super in depth. But just Google how to edit video, that sort of thing.
What do you
just
use
to get a start?
What do you personally
use? I use all Adobe products. So Adobe Premiere Pro and Photoshop, just because they play really nicely with each other.
They do.
And so that's what I personally use to edit, but you can use iMovie, you can use whatever softwares you have already, Final Cut Pro, all of that stuff. And I'm a very big fan of just use what you have and get to know that. And most of the higher end video softwares are going to be able to do most of the same stuff.
Right.
So it's really just a matter of preference at that point.
What do you say to somebody that's listening to this and says, you know what, I don't have time for that?
and so my biggest thing is coming into it with a mentality of that, I think, is dangerous.
Yeah, okay.
And I think, you might not have time.
Right.
But at the same time, if you don't have time, you can outsource.
So outsource. That's your answer to somebody that initially says, I don't have time to do that. You think it's important enough.
I do.
That it needs to be done whether you have time yourself or not.
Absolutely.
And you outsource it to whom?
So one of the things that I did in my business when I was starting, so I have a senior team, basically a team of representatives, and we started every senior team with a studio shoot. So we all rent out a huge studio. We have it all catered. There's tons of food, music. We do a studio shoot there. And one of the things is that this is kind of like the kickoff to the team. It's where everybody meets each other for the most part. Parents are there. And I actually hired a videographer that I met in high school who was charging lower rates but was pretty good. And I had him come and actually just film some promo stuff that I now use as video collateral on my websites and stuff to introduce people to the senior team. So reach out to your seniors and see if they know anybody that does video on the side. You don't have to hire a professional. It doesn't necessarily need to be professional grade content if you're not going to be using it as kind of that huge, really polished look, but find somebody who's good enough that you can afford, that is able to come and do the job while you are shooting or doing whatever you need to do so that you can focus on what you're doing and they can focus on what they're doing and create that video content, just because people love to consume that video. And it's great in terms of people sharing and getting an insight on who you are, who your business is, and that sort of thing. So I do think it's that important to be able to
you gotta make it happen somehow.
Yeah.
Either way.
Exactly.
So what sort of specific things are you doing? Like with Facebook, do you have like specific things that you put together that people can expect to see if they're following you on Facebook?
So I think that's a great idea. It's something that I have thought about in terms of when Facebook Watch started, and still waiting and sitting on that to open up to all businesses. Right now, I think it's select businesses that they're working with, but through stuff like Instagram TV. That's
the new thing, right?
That's the new thing, yeah. So they just launched that maybe a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
it's
I thought
really,
it was
really recent. And so that's something that I've been playing around with a little bit. And the big thing is just understanding how each content platform is supposed to work. I think that's kind of the root of it all. Whereas Instagram Stories is very short form content. Instagram TV is more long form content.
Well, and Instagram TV is essentially competing with YouTube in a sense.
It's trying, and that's something that we shouldn't be real surprised about, because Facebook has been trying to compete with YouTube for years, and Facebook obviously owns Instagram. So now if they have another platform that they can use to kind of leverage and compete with YouTube, one of their big competitors, then you probably can expect to see more long form content on Instagram over time.
Do you use YouTube? I mean, do you film for YouTube as well?
So YouTube has been one of the platforms that I don't necessarily do. I think if you are a photographer that's looking to get in the educational space, there is nothing better.
Okay.
But if you're looking for the client side, I think that you can definitely be on YouTube. And I have stuff on YouTube in terms of like brand films that I've done, testimonial videos, but ultimately it comes back to really using those social platforms, just because I think that you can build such a deeper connection on that with your clients on the social facing side, because the teenagers are more likely to interact with you on the social platforms than they are to YouTube, because oftentimes they're not even signed into their YouTube account, so they can't necessarily comment or like on your videos. So
that's not really where they are. Is that fair to say?
I think they're there. I'm not sure that they're, for marketing, I'm not sure that they're going to YouTube specifically for senior photos.
And it's probably easier to get lost in the noise, because YouTube has some videos.
It has some videos.
There's a few blocks of content on YouTube.
There are, and I think that mainly YouTube is used as primarily an educational and an entertainment platform.
Okay.
Whereas I think that social is used more as an entertainment and a platform to connect with people.
Right.
And so I think that that's a big thing is understanding what content you're producing and what purpose you want it to serve.
Mm-hmm. So go on.
Yeah. So I was going to say, so YouTube, I don't think necessarily is as big of a focus for senior photographers that are trying to book clients, but for photographers that maybe want to start educating other photographers and saying, this is how I edit, this is how I do other stuff, and build that community right there. I think YouTube's a fantastic platform for that.
Right. Have you used Instagram TV, or do you have plans for it?
I do. Yeah. So the day it came out, you can bet your dollars that I was playing around with Instagram TV. I'm all about moving quickly and seeing what works and what doesn't.
Yeah. And getting in first.
Exactly. And that's why when Periscope was around 3 years ago,
Periscope
was really big.
Yes.
Yeah. So Twitter's live stream platform.
Yes.
When Periscope was around, I jumped on that real quick and built a following. So I was able to connect with tons of other photographers that I never would have been able to connect with. And then all of a sudden they're following me on Instagram. They're following me back on Twitter.
Right.
They're following me on Snapchat, Facebook, all of that stuff. Even though Periscope's not around, I was able to build brands or continue to build brands on other platforms based on that. So if somebody can find me through Instagram TV and then all of a sudden find my Instagram profile and then Twitter and Snapchat, you never know who's going to find you through which platform. So that's why I think it's so important to have a toe in the water for kind of each platform.
So how do you approach Instagram TV as opposed to an Instagram story, considering you have the short form and long form formats?
And that's the key right there, is the short versus the long form. So when people are going to Instagram TV, they are looking for content that's a little bit longer. So stuff like brand films is a great way to kind of put your kind of foot in the game there. Other things like I have a senior testimonials video on there, so they can actually go and they can see what past seniors have said, what it's like to work with me. And the other is senior films. So a client film that I actually filmed and did for the client as like a product add-on for their session. And so those three pieces of content are currently what I have on there. And you can even get creative if you wanted. I've even thought about hiring a photographer to come along on senior sessions and almost do like a vlog style thing.
Yeah.
And so that's something I've thought about, and doing like an episodes type thing where they can go episode 1, 2, 3, 4 and make that exclusive to Instagram TV or YouTube or something like that.
Nice.
So those are different forms of content that you can produce. And I think it's all about, like I said, kind of going back to using what the platform's built to do. And so if you're posting 15-second stuff on Instagram TV, well, that may be better suited for, say, Instagram highlights or story highlights or something like that.
Story highlights. Okay.
Yeah.
I saw that just yesterday. What's the story highlight?
Those are Instagram stories that you have done, kind of put out there. And you have the option to basically pin them, kind of like a pinned Facebook post.
Right.
Straight to your profile. So when people go to your profile, those are actually the very first things that they see. So they see your basically your logo,
right?
How many followers you have, all that stuff, how many posts you have, your bio info,
right?
And then right under that is Instagram TV,
right?
And Instagram story highlights. So those are select pieces of content that you yourself have picked.
And how long will they stay there?
Forever.
They stay there, accessible to anyone. So it's essentially pinning a story to make it not go away.
Yes.
Okay.
And so that's how you get around the 24-hour stuff. So that I think is great for posting stuff that you want every single client or prospective client, somebody that visits your profile, to learn about you or to educate them. So I use that more as an educational piece of content to promote what photo products I offer. Offering photo products,
Interesting.
Learning a little bit about me. I think I have reviews on there. So this is stuff that I want prospective clients, if they're thinking about booking me or if they just found out about me, 3 to 4 pieces of content that I need them to see.
Right.
That I want them to know about me immediately.
Right.
And then Instagram TV is that long form content. So if they want to go a little bit deeper, they can click on Instagram TV and learn about other aspects of my business.
So once they click on Instagram TV, they're going to have a bunch of content that is also there for them to see.
And that's going to be the long form content.
Longer
so that's
stuff.
where your brand film stuff does really well. That's where promotional videos do really well if you've filmed your senior team, that sort of thing.
Well,
so
because they're expecting longer form stuff.
And so
that's
people are going there
right.
to consume long form content versus Instagram stories where it's 3, 4, 5 seconds of content and then they're done. They're moving on to the next one.
Very interesting. What sort of tips and tricks do you have in general for people that want to start incorporating this?
In terms of video?
Yes.
So I think the biggest thing is just to try it out. I think a lot of people...
Give it a shot.
Yeah. I think a lot of people get stuck on the technical stuff of how do you do this.
Don't you think they're intimidated initially?
I think they're intimidated.
Video, that's too much. I can't do that.
And it's hard.
Right.
I started with video, so video comes a little bit more natively to me.
Right.
But in the same time, a lot of photographers started out as photographers and not videographers.
Right.
So being able to produce content that kind of educates them and that sort of thing through courses and that sort of thing is going to be crucial for kind of getting them in the loop. So that's why I said go to YouTube, find courses. We just worked on producing a senior films course that allows people to learn all of the client facing stuff. So how to interact, settings, all of that stuff. So there are educational courses like that people can go if they kind of want to learn all about it. But just jump in, learn the technical stuff, learn what settings you need, and then just go out there and experiment. Put out content, because it's much easier to fail quickly and figure out what doesn't work than to just sit on ideas and figure out. There's like, you sit on this idea for 4 weeks and discard these 10 other ideas that could have been great ideas for that one idea that all of a sudden doesn't turn out. Right. So move quickly. So if video...
Move quickly. Ooh, I like that. Yes.
And I think that goes for anything. Hopping on new platforms. It goes for trying out new things. So if there's this cool new... I don't know, this cool new lens that all of a sudden comes out tomorrow and does this cool, unique effect. Right. Well, it's better to see how your audience reacts to it than say, well, I don't know, and ponder it for 4 weeks. And then all of a sudden, every other photographer in your area is doing it.
They've already done it.
Yeah. And it's already been done. So I think that moving quickly is a huge thing. And just figuring out what works and what doesn't, and replicating what works well and discarding what doesn't.
I think that's really good advice. Where can people find you?
So I am on most social media platforms.
Everywhere.
So on Instagram, it's just Sean Brown Productions, Facebook, Sean Brown Productions. And then I had to get a little bit creative with a common name, like Sean Brown. Right. There are a lot of photographers. So on Twitter, it's SBP Photos. And then on Snapchat, on Twitter, it's Sean Brown Photos. Twitter, it's SBP Photos. Okay. Snapchat, Snapchat SBP Photos. So
Snapchat SBP Photos.
Hopefully you'll link it up or something like that.
They'll find you.
Yeah. So.
Right. So is those are the platforms that you would suggest people go to find you. Absolutely. And to use for themselves, primarily regarding video, in promoting their businesses and their brand.
Precisely.
That's fair enough to say.
So I think so. Yeah.
Hey, this was really fun. Thanks for taking the time out here to do this.
Thank you for having me on here.
And I wish you the best of luck in Portland, Oregon.
Thank you. Hopefully we have some sun this summer and some senior sessions, but should be, weather's looking up now in the summer.
Thanks, man.
So, awesome. Thank you so much.
Have a good one.